So while it took me forever to play this game, I didn't mind the idea of Luigi's Mansion 2 or Dark Moon being on the 3DS. I don't mind the remake of the original being on the 3DS either, other than the 3DS was practically dead by that point. The reason is because the original Luigi's Mansion was supposed to be 3D originally. So yeah, go figure. The game started out as a tech demo for a 3D screen you could put over your TV, something to make the GameCube 3D without the use of glasses. Naturally, something like that was super expensive though, so Nintendo had to scrap the idea. Also, Luigi's Mansion went from a tech demo to an actual game. This screen's technology did go into the 3DS development, however, so it makes sense that the sequel of the game, originally intended to be 3D, ends up being on a 3D console. However, it was everything else steering me away. Nothing on the trailers, promotional art, and even other YouTube reviewers were really making me want to go out and play this one. Not to say it wasn't going to, or that it was going to be bad or anything like that. It was on my to-do list for some time now. And that's why a few years back, I ended up playing the original for this channel. I've always loved the original game, and while the second game didn't pique my interest, the third game out more recently for the Switch sure as hell did. That being said, I feel like I need to complete the second game first, so here we are. It is time to review this one of the games that I have unfinished business with. So let's start looking into the least enjoyed Luigi's Mansion game, Luigi's Mansion: The Dark Moon. Let's do it. Let's take on King Boo! Round 2! I know it probably seems like spoilers since the game builds up to the mystery of who the villain is, but the game also gives this away in the loading screen among other places. Yes, this story is all over the place. It starts out with this gem called the Dark Moon hanging over this big dark valley. This place is home to friendly ghosts. Professor Egad from the first game figured this would be the perfect place to study the paranormal. Makes sense. However, the Dark Moon is corrupted. Because of this, all the ghosts become evil, and Egad decides since Luigi is a good ghost wrangler, he straight up kidnaps poor player 2 right from his house. The more the story goes on, the more Luigi has to find the pieces of the Dark Moon, save some toads, and suddenly out of nowhere he also has to save Mario. Yes, Mario is shoehorned into this plot. He didn't come out of absolutely nowhere. The game shows King Boo has Mario the entire time, really. There's a little impact of the entire situation though, and since the heroes only know towards the end of the game, it does a little to motivate the player as well. One thing at the end of the game that did motivate me more was King Boo went into a panic and sent out so many ghosts through a portal that he almost destroyed the entire world. This should have been the main focus of the game, not shoving Mario into a game needlessly, because nobody trusts Luigi to headline a game on his own. And here's the kicker, Luigi totally can headline the game. Yeah, while he's the silent protagonist, his scared personality and Egad's demeanor works fantastically. There are many fun exchanges between the two, even Egad being shocked that King Boo escaped his painting from the first game, despite the hushed mention that Egad sold the painting in a yard sale. His forgetfulness with the toads and the color blindness possibility works well too, and the toads reacting to Luigi gives them each of a personality. Speaking of the toads, I love these little guys. They aren't as unique as, say, the toads in Paper Mario, but they all have personality. I shot a toad across a chasm to solve a puzzle for treasure, and he was so damn happy to help, he gave me a thumbs up. That's awesome. Luigi also looks great in this game, and if I'm honest, the boss fights look really cool themselves as well. And then there are the ghosts, the main minions, the main bad guys. Well, this is an issue. Look, I'm not saying the designs aren't good per se, but it doesn't take long to see all that the ghosts have to offer design-wise. This was an issue for the first Luigi's Mansion, but the ghosts there are more stylized in that game, along with the portrait ghosts breaking up the regular ghost battles. This game lacks the portrait ghosts, and all you have left is a few designs that get reused rather quickly outside of boss fights. There is a unique mini-boss or two, but they're far between. Sad too, since the developers tried breaking your notice of this by making the settings fantastic. Oh, and they use the settings too, making some ghosts dressed as mummies, use sunglasses, things like that that force you to change your tactics slightly, but this still doesn't help design-wise. Meanwhile, the music works well. I'd say that it is fantastic and it's amazing, but this isn't a soundtrack I'm going to be listening to a lot of due to the main tracks of each mansion being the exact same song. Yeah, literally the same song for each of the new mansions, but played differently enough to give you a slightly different feel. Like I said, it works, but it's not a great OST either. So the biggest issue I had with the gameplay was aiming upwards. There are multiple times of the game that it asks you to shoot objects out of your vacuum. Outside of sucking on the object while trying to use that to aim with the gyroscope in the 3DS by tilting my body, I couldn't find a way to actually aim. However, the word of the day is had. There is a button for it. Yep, a simple button. You sometimes use it when you can't get the gyroscope controls to work. Oops. Outside of that, there's no issues at all. There is a risk-reward system fighting ghosts. If you hold on to the ghost longer, you can get more money for each ghost. See, when you're sucking up a ghost, you charge a gauge. The higher the gauge, the more gold you get. It also boosts your pull, too, when you hit a certain button. But you may have to jump out of the way, which empties the gauge. See the problem there? When ghosts attack you, you have to jump to dodge, unless you're really good at pulling ghosts. Outside of that, ghost fighting is pretty much the same. You wait for a chance to blast your light at the ghost and suck it in with the vacuum. There's this new UV light type flashlight. This allows Luigi to find invisible objects, hidden treasure, or booze. This makes exploring fun for sure, but the gameplay does do pretty well here. So unfortunately, very similar to their designs, the ghosts really don't add much variety when it comes to the common enemies. There's a few things here like mummy ghosts or the ones with sunglasses, but it only adds a quick another step. There are a few mini-boss fights which, while not original in design, were pretty decent fights for sure. The main bosses... Look, some of these boss fights are really good. Some of them aren't that great. The first boss is a giant spider. Actually one of the better ones. You have to use fire, a great idea actually, and the entire boss is puzzle solving. Something you do often in the game. The second boss is a set of stairs. The most typical boss fight ever. Never a more video game feeling video game boss fight in the world. Then there was an enemy raid, which is generic, and an ice pit. The ice pit was unique and fun despite changing the gameplay up rapidly. Last three, there's Bosses, which is an okay boss fight. King Boo, who's a slow fight and kind of anticlimactic. And before King Boo, you have an Armored Knights. This fight was actually really fun and involved puzzle solving again, which is fantastic. I hope future Luigi's Mansion titles use more puzzle solving in their fights, as they're pretty awesome here. Outside of the ghost fighting though, there is a ton of puzzle solving. There's mission structures for each different mansions too. Okay, not all these places are technically mansions, but they are kind of called that. They're like worlds in a Mario game. Each world has their own gimmick. The first mansion has spiders. The second one has plants. The third has sand. The fourth has ice. And the last one combines kind of all of these elements together. It's kind of fun. I say kind of because the mission structure kind of hurts it. The start of the game is really bad. You get to open up a mission, you're kind of opening up the mansion a little bit, and bam! Egad drags you back. Cool. Neat. And then you get to, explore the rest of the mansion in the next mission. Often missions are built as filler, and that's very apologetic too. What's that? You have a new item to explore more of the mansion? Oh no! A ghost dog stole the item! Way to make another mission exploring the area I was literally just in. Why is every good idea plagued by a lackluster bad idea in this game? Come on now! Thankfully, during these missions, there is a big reason to explore the mansion. Money, treasure, it's kind of a big deal here. Regular money and gold actually builds up, and you can upgrade Luigi with these. There's only a certain amount of upgrades, and once you get them all, the money doesn't really do anything. Well, it can increase your rank on missions, but that's about it. Then there are the gems. These are shiny shapes that are hidden in each mansion. Find all the gems in a mansion and you get a 3D model of Luigi to look at. These are fun, but do little else. Last, there are the boos. You can hunt a boo in each mission outside of the boss fights. They're often hidden in invisible items and you can find them using the UV light. Collect all the booze in a mansion and you get a special speedrun mission or a time trial mission set in that same mansion. Neat. Last, while I don't play this for a review, there is a 2-player mode, so I guess if you can find people still playing Luigi's Mansion 2, with Luigi's Mansion 3 being a thing, go for it. Look, Luigi's Mansion 2 is not a bad game. It just barely scrapes past being okay as well. Luigi's Mansion 2 is a good game, or a 7 out of 10. Gameplay and finding secrets in the puzzle-heavy game is great. Everything else has some fantastic ideas, and some terrible ideas. For example, the story is pretty much all over the place, but the character writing is really fun. The mansions look great, but common vacuum fodder is kind of bland. The music is good, but it's basically one song with several variations. The boss fights range from great to terrible. The levels are great, but the mission structure halts everything, making exploration kind of a pain here and there. Every high I experienced with this game, there was a low point that hit soon afterwards. The only thing consistent was the solid gameplay and the solving mini puzzles to find treasure. Overall, I enjoyed Luigi's second romp in a mansion, but there was a lot of low points in this game that I had to overcome to get there. I think this is why the game gets a bit of a negative reputation. It is one thing when the game is solid, but it's another when the game shows glimpses of greatness, only to suddenly turn around and disappoint the player. I'd still say more people will enjoy the game at the end of the day, but getting to that end of the day specifically might be a tough sell. Disappointment is sometimes seen as worse than an overall mediocre game, or even a bad game. At least those games often don't have such good ideas mixed with poor ones. Oh well. This is my review of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. If you like the review, then go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, comment, hit the bell for more content. You know how it goes. Oh, and check the playlist for more Luigi's Mansion and Mario reviews. Until next time, my minions, take care!